wealth of the teacher is you may not earn money, but you'll earn so much goodwill.
Most interesting question that I face during day-to-day my counseling is
Yes.
ICSE versus CBSE.
So for ICSE, it is that rich, immersive experience, literature rich. CBSE is the board which offers, a very compact, concise, content-based syllabus.
I worked in Japan.
Okay.
I traveled all across the Europe. In France, Italy, China. What I've seen, most of these developed nations, they are very proud of their language. And sometimes we as Indians, sometimes Hindi bola tha matlab thora we look down upon.
Language which we talk about, that pride in a language should also be in its purity.
Teachers की students के बीच मन में ये feeling आती है कि हमने सर को फीस दिया है, he is teaching us. So do you think what I think is actually true? Have you felt कि बच्चों का thought process में respect में कुछ changes आए हैं सर?
That child is probably living in his mind another thing, he's probably thinking that this situation is not real. So teachers have not basically changed. A teacher is a guru. But what has changed is the generation that has changed.
Namaste. Welcome to podcast Global Thinkers. मैं Arun Agarwal, an overseas education expert. I'm very happy to invite our very special guest today and my very special teacher, Sajid Sir. I have known Sir for last about 8 years and he's a very popular teacher and a lot of students look up to him for his advices. Sajid Sir, thank you so much for coming to our podcast. It's an honor to have you, sir. I'm really happy. Sir, I will request you to please tell about yourself to my students and parents, why they should listen to you today and what value you bring to them.
Thank you, Arun sir. I'm so happy to be here because as an educator, the voice of an educator is sometimes heard only within the confines of a classroom. But with your podcast, I think the message that educators need to send out, it is more powerful in a medium that is shared on a global, literally global. So the global reach that you're looking for is there with Global Reach podcast. And thank you for that. About myself, I come from a family of educators. My grandparents were both teachers. My father retired as a principal. My sister was a teacher. And my wife is also a teacher. And I've always been a teacher. I never did any job after I finished college. I got into teaching. And my love for teaching ignited, got nurtured because of my connection with students. So I keep telling my young colleagues, if you love kids, you can be a great teacher. The content will follow later. And my journey has been very exciting. I've worked in a very reputed school in Darjeeling. It is more than 130 years old. It's St. Joseph School, North Point. And I'm proud to say that I have taught many North Pointers all over the globe. You know some of them. And after working there for 27 long years.
Wow, that's
which
huge.
Is a long time. I decided to take the leap of faith and came to Siliguri. And I was invited by a very prestigious school, a very globally well-recognized brand, GD Goenka. So I was there for the last almost 2 years. And it was an amazing experience working in GD Goenka. But saying all that doesn't mean much because the impact of a teacher can always be shared by students. So, if you meet any of my students anywhere in the planet, they'll say, "Oh, Sajid sir," they'll have that expression on
Sir,
their
I'm
face.
aware of it. I have helped a lot of your students go abroad, so I'm still in touch with them. Yes, sir.
So wherever I go, the wealth of a teacher is not measured in the bank balance or the asset that he owns. The wealth of the teacher is, as my dad was a teacher, he used to say, you may not earn money, but you'll earn so much goodwill that wherever you walk in, whether it's a bank or a post office, even a railway station, you'll bump into one of your old students and they'll say, "Sir, how can I help you?" So I think I have earned wealth beyond your tangible things. So that is my introduction. And beyond that, just being a teacher for me was not enough. I took very healthy and active interest in activities outside the classroom, debates. I have many people in the hills and Siliguri probably know me as a quiz master. So that is one avatar which I cultivated over the years. I've also been keenly interested in inter-school activities, debates, a tech fest, MUN. So wherever there is a healthy growth for a child beyond the classroom, I'm sure to make myself involved.
And if I'm not wrong, sir, in your latest role, you are the vice principal of Global Endeavour School.
Yes. It's just been a month.
Yes, sir.
I was invited to join a very new school, Endeavour Global in Siliguri. as the vice principal, the management and the chairman, trustees, they found me a good fit to join a new school to give them old advice along with some innovative
And
ideas.
sir is also a parent whose son is studying in Canada. So sir has seen all aspects of a student life and a teacher. So let's start.
Yes, yes,
Sir, most interesting question that I face during day to day my counseling is
yes,
ICSE versus CBSE. So you were in North Point School, that was an ICSE school.
correct.
Now you were in GD Goenka, that was a CBSE
CBSE
school.
school,
And if I'm not mistaken, your son after 10th he studied in
IB,
Canadian school, IB board in
correct.
Bangalore. So
Yes.
I'm sure you have a very good aspect of what are the differences, what students should go for, sir. CBSE, ICSE, and IB, sir. What's your take on this?
Well, it's a question that has been asked to me also many times as an educator, as young children become young adults and parents, in all their wisdom, look towards the teacher to give them some sound advice as what should my child take. And this CBSE ICC question is now decades old.
Yes, sir.
And the new kid on the block is IB,
Yes,
and you
sir.
have a Cambridge board also. So
Yes, sir.
we have a very healthy and growing competition in India.
Yes, sir.
So before I delve into ICC CBSE, we must understand that most of education system came from the British form of education.
Yes.
So what we got was a copy and paste initially. But saying that, I will say that both education systems offer very holistic way of educating a child. I have worked in both CBSE and ICSE schools. So I will tell you the pros of both the systems. So for ICSE, it is that rich, immersive experience, literature rich. You have Shakespeare.
Yes, sir.
And many people, as an English teacher, many people ask me, what's the use of Shakespeare? I say, if you didn't have Shakespeare, you will not have Romeo and Juliet. You'll not have Laila Majnu. You'll not have Haider. You'll not have, Hamlet, or you'll not have, major emotions in the world 400 years ago Shakespeare wrote. So you have that immersive, humanistic approach in ICSE. At the same time, working in a legacy school, 100 years old.
Yes, sir.
See, that school has evolved from a British system to a board system and to something that parents aspire for
Yes,
their
sir.
kids. I want my child to be this. And now coming to CBSE, when I came to Siliguri, CBSE is the board which offers, a very compact, concise, content-based syllabus for a child that is into, say, a career-based, technology-based, innovative curriculum. CBSE is the best. So and that is closely aligned with the examination systems like NEET, JEE.
The entrance exams,
Yes.
all the major entrance exams of the government.
Absolutely. So, and it also brings a broad-based, standard to the rest of the country. So, suppose you're moving from West Bengal to Maharashtra and you're CBSE, so you'll find no difference.
Yes, sir.
The seamless transition is there. Now, ICSE is also seen in a way that when it builds kind of a confidence in language. So if you are good in language, if you're good in speech, if you're good in research work, so ICSE offers you all that.
True, sir.
But knowing that today we are driven with technology, so it is a balance. Now coming to IB, so when my son finished his ICSE class 10, and I know as a parent, I didn't want to push my child into a conventional path of taking a coaching, going to coaching center, sitting for competitive exams. So I wanted him to actually get the real value of education, and it took us about a year with with advice from friends and family. So we found this IB and very interesting. So we started researching, and we found that IB curriculum offers something which is holistic, but at the same time, it prepares you for a curriculum that is together with international universities. So, if you are doing IB, if you want your child to do IB, be prepared to send him or her outside the
Outside
country.
country. Yes. So this is one input that I realize
Yeah.
as a counselor. Students who have taken IB boards or Cambridge boards in 11 and 12, they struggle big time if they plan to study in India.
Correct.
So what I have seen is if you're very clear that you want to go abroad after year 12,
Yes.
then it's a good, wise decision.
Yes.
Otherwise, I would say CBSE is a wise choice.
Yes.
And another thing, sir, I personally feel as a counselor that ICSE no doubt was very good, but the syllabus has not evolved with time. Whereas CBSE is rapidly changing their curriculum as per the needs. I mean, what's your take, sir, on that?
I will give you a breaking news. Recently, ICSE Council has appointed a new chief secretary, and he was formerly the secretary for CBSE. So
Okay.
now you can see that your fears are now being put to rest.
Got it,
So
sir.
the person who is heading ICSE today
Yes, sir.
is a person who has got a lot of years of experience with CBSE.
Yes, sir.
So now the question of CBA and ICSE will not arise. There will be initial, phases where there will be teething problems, but ultimately India will move to an education system, whether it's ICSE or CBSE, it will be seamless. Then the parents won't have to, worry so much. And, as a counselor, you'll be confident to say you can put your child in this school.
So my next question is, during our times, going to hostel was seen something like we only go to hostels when we do not have good schools in our locality. But in 2025, fast forward 2025, it has become a trend. All the parents want to send their children to hostel. So what's your take, sir, on day scholars versus hostels? Another thing was, once upon a time, Darjeeling was known for the best boarding schools in the country.
Correct.
People used to come to St. Paul's, Gothels, but now that trend has again changed. Most of the people are moving to Siliguri. So, I mean, what is your take, sir, on the Darjeeling schooling system versus Siliguri, and day scholars versus boarding schools, sir?
Okay, so again, I will come to this point about boarding schools.
Yes, sir.
Boarding schools are primarily made for government officials or people whose job was transferable.
Yes.
So, in the British system, where if you're working for the government, you could be posted anyway. Say you could be in Madras, suddenly you could be in Calcutta, suddenly you could be in Shimla. So in that case, the child suffers
Yes.
because you go through multiple climate changes, geographical changes. So to ensure that the child gets that complete education, right from say, primary to secondary. So a hostel was set up where the teachers, and they were all imported, by the way,
Yes, sir.
those days.
Yes,
So
sir.
you had teachers coming in from Scotland, England, Ireland, missionaries. So they all came to India to teach us their kind of education. So that was the situation then. Later on, what happened was, I agree with you that in those days, if the school system was not doing enough for the child, see, when India became a self-sustaining country, when economy was booming, so parents also realized that along with your academic curriculum, you needed something holistic. Say, for example, your child wants to learn horse riding, or your child wants to learn shooting, so your child wants to play basketball or swimming, and that in, say, in the early 70s or 80s, that was not possible in a
Yes.
tier 2 city, or maybe a metropolitan city could offer that. So the next best option would be to put your child in a boarding school.
Boarding school.
So then your child became very well grounded personality. And I have seen kids who are studying in hostel, they become more resilient, more prone to take up challenges. They form lifelong friendships. For them, a friend is a family.
Family.
And I've seen that. Probably you've seen
Yes.
that. And coming to why Darjeeling and other places are now, like facing stiff competition, is because of globalization. See, because of the internet. See, long time back, you relied on word of mouth. Suppose your uncle said, "Oh, please send Arun to this school. It is very good."
Yes,
Your
sir.
parents would, blindfold send you to that school.
Yes, sir.
But now with the internet, now with the information age, you have a lot of options.
Yes,
And
sir.
I'm not saying that Darjeeling is a sole example. There are other schools which are also, like struggling or facing challenges. But I'm sure with time, with, when the schools bounce back, and I know for a fact that schools in Darjeeling have bounced back right now, they are getting a healthy amount of students in the boarding.
Yes, sir.
So the school where I work, St. Joseph, has got very efficient,
Yes, sir. Even I was at St. Paul's School recently, and
recently.
they have the students are
Yeah,
gradually
have you
increasing
seen
now.
their new infrastructure?
Yes, sir.
See, what has happened is the old students, the alumni,
They have
has gathered
contributed.
together
Yes, sir.
and
I was a
said,
part of the team, sir. Yes, sir.
great. So
Yes,
now
sir.
you know that
Yes,
there's
sir.
a resurgence in, again, as you said, people
Yes,
want to
sir.
send kids to the boarding.
Yes,
So
sir.
why not send them, to Darjeeling?
Yes, sir.
So I will always promote Darjeeling. At the same time, there are parents who probably want a more different kind of hostel experience for their child. So we
So does this means a student who's a day scholar, who's not living a full-time hostel life, are they at a losing end, or?
I will now come to another point here, because day scholars is, say, the majority in a school.
Yes,
So
sir.
in a school which has day boarding and boarding, so the day boarding students will always have a bigger strength, except for 100% boarding
Yes,
school.
sir.
So the day boarders have, a supportive parents. There are parents who have non-transferable jobs. So that emotional quotient, the content will be well balanced,
Yes,
for the
sir.
child. But then again, like the day scholars also have their own kind of a privilege, I will say.
Yes,
Like
sir.
they will get, extra tuition, they will
Yes,
get
sir.
some extra coaching. I see a lot of parents, taking their kids for music classes and
Yes, sir.
sports classes in
Yes,
the evening, or
yes,
in the,
sir.
music classes in the weekends, or karate classes, So that kind of support depends on the parents. So I feel if parents are ready to immerse their child in that kind
And
of
give
education.
time to their kids,
Correct,
because most of the parents are so occupied these days
correct.
that they want to outsource their responsibilities to others.
Yeah.
And another thing that I personally feel, in today's world, we as a parent, it is very important for parents to bind their child emotionally.
Okay.
A
Yes.
student may be going to the hostel who may be very skilled, but if they're not emotionally connected to the family or the parents,
Yes.
then it backfires. I mean, that is my feedback, sir, that I have seen. So it's a
So
very delicate balance that we need to
I will add on to your, what you said just now. So for the last 2 years, I've been in Siliguri. So when we were students,
Yes,
I don't think there was a single school in Siliguri that had boarding.
yes, sir.
Now I see the trend in Siliguri. There are boarding schools in
All
Siliguri.
across.
Yes, and right from Bagdogra to I don't know,
All around.
everywhere, everywhere.
Yes, sir.
So what has happened is that the concept that the child, for the parents who don't have time, the concept that the child is getting a very quality kind of education has hit the parents.
Yes.
Yes, they are willing to spend that kind of budget on that kind of education. So be it. Like there are some schools which are offering, part-time boarding, like you come in on Monday, go home on
On the
Friday.
weekends, on the
Yeah, so
weekends,
that
yes.
was there
Yes,
in
sir.
Calcutta many
Yes,
years
sir.
back.
Yes,
I
sir.
know some schools in Calcutta that were doing that. So if I stay in a place where there is no such facility for my child, of course I'm willing to sacrifice that and put my child in a day boarding, in a
Yes,
situation
sir.
where he can learn or she can learn something more than what is offered in the textbook.
In fact, we were discussing, sir, during our tea, that few of the boarding schools, they charge tuition fees upwards of 10 lakh and above. And sometimes it's more expensive to
Yeah,
study in a school than studying in the international university.
correct.
So that's the kind of demand. I mean, recently I attended one of the events in Kolkata where all the boarding schools of India had come to promote. It was an event, sir.
Okay.
So the kind of rush, I was like, wow,
Yes.
such a huge demand for boarding schools. So there was an
It's
event.
amazing. I mean,
Yes,
like,
sir.
I have so many friends who have put their child into boarding, and it's not because that they have to put the child in boarding, but they felt that a boarding life will give a child sort of a push, towards making his career, making his skills better than if he stays at home, and the parents may not be able to that kind of guidance or support to the child. So say after class 5 or 6, lot of parents are putting the child. I have one. I'll just give an example. I have a student of mine in Siliguri. His house is in Siliguri. His child studies in Siliguri, but the father and mother have put the child in a boarding. Why? Because the child is gifted in swimming. Now, if the child wants to become pursue swimming as seriously, then staying at home is not an
True,
option.
sir.
So this is the swimming season. So they have consciously, and the child has agreed because she loves swimming.
Excellent.
So that way, like there are opportunities here that which parents are now seeing. So that's why the rush is
Yes,
there.
sir. So one thing that I see when I interact with a lot of parents, especially in our region, they judge the student's success with two parameters.
Okay.
One is either 10th percentage or 12th percentage, or how fluent they talk English. Do you think these are the right parameters to judge a student, or we should look beyond these two parameters? I mean, 10th and 12th percentage, and how fluent they are with English. I mean, this is something I really want you to talk on, sir.
Okay. Uh, so I came from Darjeeling.
Yes, sir.
And for me, Siliguri was multilingual experience. So my Bengali got sharpened, my Hindi got polished, and my Nepali is as it is good. So मैं यही कहना चाहता हूँ कि
जी सर.
सिर्फ मार्क्स और इंग्लिश बोलने से कोई सक्सेस स्टोरी नहीं बन सकता है.
जी सर.
Because I have such examples in my career. A child who has come from, say, a madhyamik background
जी सर.
has successfully cleared IIT, IIM, IFS, IAS, IPS without mastering. And I'm not sure, that child was never a school topper.
Okay,
मतलब
sir.
90% and above नहीं था.
ठीक है.
और इंग्लिश भी मतलब एवरेज था. कभी स्टेज में जाके स्पीच नहीं दिया. But I will not say that is not important. What I'm saying is not a prerequisite for success. I'm saying all this is good. It will
Add on.
give
It's
you
an add-on.
add-on,
It's an
but it's
add-on.
not a prerequisite for success. That's what I
Yes,
want
sir.
to say.
Because what I've seen, sir, I got an opportunity. मुझे मौका मिला था जापान में रहने का. I worked in Japan.
Okay.
I traveled all across the Europe. I mean, France, Italy, China. I visited China. What I've seen, most of these developed nations, they are very proud of their language.
Exactly.
And sometimes we as Indians, sometimes कि नहीं हिंदी बोला था मतलब थोड़ा down, we look down upon. So we should be very proud of our language.
Yes.
And in fact, our first priority should be to talk in our local language. I mean,
I will just interrupt you.
Yes,
There is
sir.
one thing I want to say here.
Yes, sir.
And I totally agree with you. First of all, let me say you are absolutely right.
Yes, sir.
See, where I come from, where I grew up, the language is Nepali, and it's a beautiful language. Beautiful. There's a lot of lovely literature.
Yes, sir.
My language in school was Nepali, and like I can still recite my Nepali poems thanks to my great teachers who taught me, lovely poems and plays and stories. At the same time, when I came to Siliguri, the language changed. So you had Hindi, you had Bengali, you had different languages. But what I was shocked to see is that the dilution of the language is not in its pure form. There is like a mutation of
Yes,
language,
sir.
which is not acceptable. I agree. We should be proud of our mother tongue. We should learn it in the right way.
Right way.
Let us not use the mutated version, the social media version.
Yes, sir.
If the teacher is, I met a very nice teacher in my previous school. He used to teach Sanskrit and Hindi. Amazing person. So when I heard him speak Sanskrit fluently, without a script, I was like amazed. And when he used to stand up and speak that beautiful Hindi without, mixing it with any other language. And that is our problem now. See, if I tell Arun ji, Hindi
Yes,
में बोलिए, suddenly somewhere बीच में आपका एक English word आ ही जाएगा.
एक इंग्लिश आ जाएगा,
कुछ भी आ जाएगा. So
एक बंगाली आ जाएगा.
So that
जी सर.
language which we talk about, that pride in our language, should also be in its purity.
True, sir.
And I support you.
Thank you, sir. So one thing that I again see is there has been a drastic change. मतलब relations students और टीचर्स के बीच में रिलेशनशिप्स में बहुत डिफरेंसेस आए हैं. हमारे टाइम पे टीचर ने जो मतलब टीचर इज लाइक द गुरु थिंग. टीचर ने जो बोल दिया वो पत्थर का लकीर है. एटलीस्ट हमारे मन में एक डर था, एक रिस्पेक्ट था. बट अब ड्यूरिंग काउंसलिंग व्हाट आई सी, टीचर्स की और स्टूडेंट्स के बीच में ऐसा हो गया कि इट्स बिकम वेरी ट्रांजैक्शनल. टीचर्स की स्टूडेंट्स के बीच मन में ये फीलिंग आती है कि हमने सर को फीस दिया है, ही इज टीचिंग अस. सो डू यू थिंक व्हाट आई थिंक इज एक्चुअली ट्रू? हैव यू फेल्ट कि बच्चों का थॉट प्रोसेस में डिसरिस्पेक्ट में कुछ चेंजेस आए हैं सर?
यस, आई एग्री विथ यू. एंड इट्स नॉट ओनली इन स्कूल. जो आप
sir.
बोल रहे हैं कि स्टूडेंट और टीचर्स, ये खाली स्कूल में नहीं होता है. तो आप बाहर जाइए, एनी चाइल्ड हु हैज़ who is like sort of addicted to social media or gadget, their body language, their attitude is very different than what it was, say, 10 years ago.
Yes, sir.
So when you put that child in a classroom environment, that child is probably living in his mind another thing. Like, he's probably thinking that this situation is not real. So teachers have not basically changed. A teacher is a guru. But what has changed is the generation that has changed, the setting has changed, the environment has changed. But at the same time, I also believe a strong school has strong gurus, will have strong values.
Yes, sir.
And there are still such schools. And I'm proud to say that in Siliguri and in Darjeeling, there are legendary teachers I've met. And believe me, I've met their students and they still are in awe of their teachers. And I admire the way they work, the way they carry their personal life.
So this is exactly the thing that I talk to foreign uni reps whenever I visit foreign universities or I get to interact with admission officers. They tell me Siliguri is such a small town, and this is exactly what I tell them, that when you come to Siliguri and interact with students, the quality of students that you will find, still अभी भी जो उनमें थोड़ा innocence अभी भी है, जो respect है, that generally you won't find in other cities.
Big cities.
Yes, sir. So that is one thing. Thank you, sir. My last question of the day is, sir, your son is studying in Canada now. Congratulations, sir. He's in the final year. He's doing very well. So my questions would be two things. First of all, you send him for a very unconventional course on a music. Most of the parents will never send their children to study unconventional courses. How did you agree to send him for an unconventional course? Number two question would be, what difference you see? I mean, your lot of students and your son, they are studying abroad,
Correct.
and a lot of students are studying in India as well.
Yes.
So what is the difference that you've seen among the students or your son studying abroad and India? And number one is, why did you send? I mean, yes, sir.
Okay. So when we were, I'll come back to what I said earlier. When my wife and I, we were selecting a school for my son after class 10. So we didn't want to follow him to follow conventional path where he goes for coaching and all that. And though he was very gifted, he got very good percentage in ICSE and all, but we wanted him to explore his passion, because right from his primary days he was very gifted in his piano. He plays the piano so well. In fact, we bought, I think, 2 pianos for him, in the course of his school life.
Wow.
So when we heard him playing the piano, and his teachers, so told us, like, he's very gifted. And from our family, nobody is, that gifted in music. From my father's side, my uncles, they're all good in music, but nobody has pursued a career. So when he went to that IB school, I put him in, music was one of his subjects,
Yes,
okay? But his other conventional subjects was like maths and, computer. So I thought, chalo yaar, he'll do computer science in Canada. Well, bahar to jana hai, but he'll do computer science. But then we talked to a couple of counselors in the school, and they told us something that will hit me. He told me, like, they told us, like, anybody can do, this conventional course. Your son is one of the few who can do music as a career.
Yes, sir.
So that hit us very strongly then, because it had a lot of things that we had to think about. But on the whole, I think we made a good decision, because he got very good grades in music, and music became his major.
Yes, sir.
Now then came the admission part. Now, how do you get admission into music in a foreign country?
Yes, sir.
So that I'm grateful to the counselors, I'm grateful to you,
Thank you,
all
sir.
that research that went into selecting the right university, the right campus, all that came into fruition because of, global reach, and a lot of people who helped him in his journey. And as I said, as parents, we were not competent to, help him in that. So that was the first part. And the next part, yes, I see a big difference in his friends. And remember that I was also a teacher to his friends. So,
Yes, sir.
I have followed their journey
Yes,
right
sir.
from primary to class 12. So, his batch. So, when I look at them, they are very sorted. But in one sense, like, there is a sort of a confusion when they come to the final year of college.
Yes, sir.
Now, they feel the journey is ending. They feel, ab kya? Job? Startup? Entrepreneurship? Karna kya hai? That confusion is there. And there is very little or almost nothing to, like, propel them into that kind of a career or a job. So most of them, like, are confused. And I see that confusion. They talk to me and we have a very healthy conversation. But studying outside, right from day one, you know exactly, your professors know what you're going to do for the next 4 years,
Yes, sir.
what you'll do in the second year, third year, fourth year, what credits you're going to take, and the advice you're going to get, and what kind of career is going to be there for you if you take this. So that clarity is there when you study.
Thank you, sir, for sharing. Like, I mean, as a parent, because when I say as a counselor, people may not believe it, but you as a parent, when saying it with such vast years of experience, your son is in the final year.
Can I give one piece
Yes,
of
please,
advice
sir.
for
Yes,
the parents?
please. Yes,
Dear
please.
parents, I come from a very middle class background. My parents were both salaried people. I'm still a salaried person. So many of my colleagues, my friends, my circle will often wonder, how Sajid Sir and my wife, Miss Amina Faridi, she's sending the kids, to Canada to study. It's like kind of like a dream. So what I'll say is, like, if your foundation is strong, so I thank the foundation that he got in Darjeeling, in North Point. His school foundation, his schooling was so strong that he could, be a success anywhere in the world. Number two, that the trust that we had in our son has been returned tenfold, because after he went to Canada, he got a lot of scholarships from the government of Canada, from the university itself, but that was through his performance. So in the first year, he performed well. In the second year, he performed well. So that kind of, full circle has come. And now he is, like, also working part-time in a place where he's helping young children to learn music. So as
And
a
being
teacher-
paid well.
Yeah,
And being paid well. Not being exploited.
No, he gets the full wages, whatever is there,
Yes.
government. So everything is above.
I'm sure that that wages helps him to cover a lot of cost of
A lot of
living as well.
expenses. So dear parents, if your child has got the skills, and if there are avenues that non-conventional avenues you are thinking of for your child, please go ahead. And there's nobody better than
Thank you,
Arun sir
sir.
to help
Thank
you.
you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you,
being
sir.
coming here. I would like to thank all my audience for listening to this podcast. If it adds value to you, request you to please like the video and subscribe to our channel. We'll keep trying to bring more of good content which adds value to you. Thank you so much.